WDAM-7 First Alert Weather. Repairing the Pinebelt.
Welcome back. While we covered what happened last February, March, April, and May, that isn't the only time of the year that severe weather is possible. We've got two severe weather seasons in the Pinebelt. Historically, one runs from mid-November through January. The other one runs from February into late May. And it's often dictated by multiple factors, including El Nino and La Nina. And while we're back to a neutral phase after being in a La Nina for the last few months, that doesn't mean that the atmosphere won't feel the effects of La Nina this spring. And in the spring, La Nina generally means that we're a bit drier and warmer in the southeast, but it doesn't mean that severe weather will take a break. As storm systems move past the Pinebelt, cold fronts produce showers and thunderstorms capable of turning severe. And in fact, research done by Mark Bove at Florida State University suggested an increase in tornadic events during a La Nina for Mississippi in the early spring. Numbers for both tornadoes and tornado days are much higher on average in January, February, and March. Those numbers, while not quite as high, continue to run above average through June. Recent La Nina years in 2012, 2011, and 2008, we saw about 1 to 2 tornadic events per month, producing 5 tornadoes in each event. And now, during last year, we had an El Nino. We saw multiple rounds of marginal risk or slight risk days with only a few enhanced or moderate risk days. But what does all that mean? Well, there are 5 different types of risk days. A marginal risk is the lowest on the scale, and it means there may only be a few severe storms in the area. An enhanced risk actually it's in the middle, but it generally means widespread severe weather is possible where highlighted. Now, a high risk is the highest risk level, and this is actually only in anticipation of severe weather outbreaks. The last high risk was issued January 22nd of this year. The time before that, June of 2014. For 2017, as of March 1st, the Pinebelt endured a handful of marginal and slight risk days as well. But more importantly, 4 enhanced risk days, January 2nd, the 20th, the 21st, where we were close to a moderate risk as well, and then again on February 7th. The January 20th event is responsible for the January 21st EF3 tornado. More than 1,100 homes and buildings were damaged or destroyed. Many people were injured, and unfortunately 4 people died. The tornado was on the ground for 31 miles through parts of Lamar, Forest, and Perry counties. Now that you understand the risk days, you ever wonder how we forecast for one or why we pay more attention to certain clouds? Well, enjoy a look behind the scenes at forecasting for the Pinebelt.
As a younger man in the weather broadcasting business, we didn't have all these tools that we have today. And with all the technology as advanced as it has become, it makes our job a lot easier.
Accurately forecasting the weather for the Pinebelt takes a lot of time and determination. But like any job, the right tools make all the difference. In the First Alert Weather Center, we have access to over a dozen computer weather models to help us predict the ever-changing conditions. We rely heavily on the Rapid Precision Mesoscale Model, or RPM. But we also use the high-resolution rapid refresh model, the North American model, the Global Forecast System model, the European Center for Medium-Range Weather Forecasts model as well, and a handful of others.
We use the models as a guidance. It's not the gospel, but we use it as a guide. So we look at all of them, and then we kind of mash it together to make our own forecast out of it.
But we don't do it alone. Thanks to technology, we have access to 3 different National Weather Service offices at our fingertips. So this helps when conveying watches and warnings to you, getting the latest real-time data from storms moving this direction and getting an extra set of eyes on the forecast.
We all can't be present in one particular room and have that conversation. What this chat allows us to do is be in our particular office or studio where we have to do our work and kind of have this conversation about what we're expecting.
So what does it take to get severe weather here in the Pinebelt? Generally speaking, we get an area of low pressure off to our west, and this moves by from southwest to northeast. As it does so, there's your cold front that pushes through the area, digs underneath that warm air that we have, produces some showers and thunderstorms. The reason that things get severe for us in particular is because we end up in a situation where the wind actually changes as you move aloft. It comes out of the south at the surface, but because this large area of low pressure is back here, it actually swings wind back around from the southwest aloft. That change in wind direction and speed with height produces almost a conveyor belt of air moving from the surface aloft in different places. It gives, unfortunately, these showers and thunderstorms a bit of structure. Now, figuring out if you're going to get a storm to the south or an individual storm to the north is a little more difficult, but it is something that we do here on a regular basis. We try and offer you the most accurate forecast we possibly can. Now that you know what goes into forecasting, coming up after the break, we'll talk about how to prepare for severe weather.